Alright, welcome back guys. Today on With Throws Outdoor TV we're going to be doing some fish talk. And what I mean by fish talk, every week I'm going to try to drop a video about a certain species of fish. Like today I'm going to go over how I like to catch redfish, and next week it could be trout. And I'm going to go over what I use to catch them, how, and a little bit of like water clarity and stuff like that. So just some need to know to basis stuff. So first off, how I like to catch my redfish. I'm going to start out my day. If I'm waking up early in the morning, I'm always going to throw, without a doubt, 10 out of 10 topwater plug. It's the best bait to catch redfish around. I just absolutely love throwing it. Throwing a topwater plug, I don't really like to throw them in cold water. Typically about 74 to 80 degree water I like to throw it. But to be honest, you can throw a topwater plug any time of year if you really want to. But if you're trying to catch for redfish, they don't really see the bait. They hear it. So you want something with kind of like a nice. I like a low pitch. I don't really like a high pitch. I figured I found out I get more strikes on the lower pitch sounds than I do the high pitch sounds. So low pitch sound. Look for I can't really say. I don't really like throwing giant, like 5, 6 inch, 9 inch topwater plugs. I like just a little bait fish representation, just scooting across the top of the water. Like this is like the size of a pinfish or a finger mullet that's injured, or a greenie, something swimming on the top of the water that's injured, because you're going for a wounded bait fish swimming across the top of the water presentation whenever you're throwing a topwater plug. But early in the morning and late afternoons. My next bait I'm going to throw is a Mirrodine suspended twitch bait. I use the blues and any kind of like flashing color during midday, kind of really bright, sunny. I like to throw them whenever there's a little bit of cloud cover. I don't really mind it, but I like them to have a little bit of rattle to them. But I really look for the flash. If I'm throwing it in clear water, I look for that flash, that glossiness to it. But I also like, if I'm throwing on the edge of an oyster bar, I really want to throw a dirty, kind of like a gold with a chartreuse to it. And here I have the Mirrodine XL, and I don't really know what color this is, but I just call it chartreuse because it has a chartreuse bottom and that gold flash to it. Just something. I've caught more trout on this, surprisingly, than I have redfish. But these Mirrodines are I love throwing these for redfish. They have great hooks on them. They take up a lot of beatings. They're just an all-around good bait. All right, next thing on the list. If I am in my kayak or if I'm in a boat and I see a school redfish, I'm gonna go over to my sight casting baits, which I have right here with me. I don't know if you guys can see them, but I have a bunch of sight casting baits right here. But I like to throw DOAs. I'm starting to venture out. I used to be just a strictly DOA guy, but I'm only gonna go over my DOA stuff because I have a shipment of some new stuff coming in, some new like Slayer lures and Z-Man Easy Shrimp. But I like the Z-Man because they're stretchable and they're elastic. But I've never really had a redfish throw one of these baits off. But I'm gonna go over to my favorite right here. It is the DOA Cowtail in the 3-inch in the red and gold gloss. This is my favorite bait to catch redfish on if I'm sight casting. I will rig this with a Redfish Magic jig head, 1/4 ounce, right through. I don't have a jig head with me, I'm sorry, but just right through in and out the top like you normally would. Just something about that gloss and that nice paddle to it, that gold, it just fires up the redfish. But if they're wanting like, that's a standout color. No fish in the ocean looks like that. It's just they really like it. I like to throw it because it looks pretty. But if they're wanting like natural like colors, if they're busting on shrimp, or if they're busting on little bait fish, if they're busting on shrimp, I'm gonna go over to the New Penny, which is a very natural color, and it looks like a regular natural shrimp to me underneath the water. Or if they're busting like little finger mullet or little bait fish, I'm gonna go over to this is a plain natural color. This just looks like any kind of fish in the water, but with a chartreuse tail on it. They put the chartreuse tail on them to give it a nice little attraction in the dirty water. If you're throwing dirty water in sight casting reds, I'm gonna throw this with the chartreuse tail. That way they can see that tail going crazy. And another one in clear water, this gold works so good in clear water, you guys have no idea. But that's the cowtail. Another thing I like to throw is the DOA shrimp. Let's see. I have a favorite one, but it's not with me. It's gonna sound crazy. I really love to throw the hot pink DOAs. I don't know, something about catching a redfish on a 4-inch DOA hot pink shrimp is just amazing to me. But another one I really like is the original, the glow. You can't go wrong with the glow. It just looks like a plain Jane shrimp. But this, they're like, it's holographic glitter. I call it holographic glitter. I don't know what the name is, but I found these in the Keys and they work amazing up here and around Crystal River. Something about when the water is really clear, this thing has a tremendous shine underneath the water. Like it just looks like a bunch of diamonds underwater, and the redfish, they see it and they just strike at it immediately. I like to throw this in really crystal clear water. Like if I'm out in the flats in like 3-4 inches of water and I see reds digging, I will throw this and I'll pop it in front of them. But whenever I'm sight casting and whenever I get to the red, I don't do a lot of erratic actions with my rod. I do just like a natural presentation like a shrimp would, just a little drift up and then back down. You don't want to be sitting there, like if you're fishing for a bed on a bass, you don't want to be sitting there beating on the edge of the rod to get the tentacles on your bait to flip. I found that if you do that, you spook the fish. Just a nice little, like a shrimp, whenever it goes in the water, it just goes up and then back down. It goes up and then back down. Just mimic the bait. You get better hookups, you get better strikes, you get insane blowups sometimes, and it's just amazing. Another one, besides this gloss, besides the gloss, sorry guys, besides the gloss is this, this is like a new penny. This is like the most natural representation of a shrimp you could get, the DOA. It's got like the red glitter to it and everything. This is another good one I like to throw on clear water days. But on the dirty side, I really like to throw this chartreuse tail natural action. This works really good in dirty water because the chartreuse tail. But another one I like is this one. I call it root beer. This one, it's got a white tail to it, but it has these, it's a brown body with some nice specks in it. It works really good. It shines great. It deflects light amazingly. But those are all my sight casting baits. I'm gonna go over sight casting with you guys. Whenever you're sight casting, you really don't want to get too close to the fish. Like you don't want to, because if you get too close, you're gonna spook the fish, and then you're gonna probably lose the biggest red of your entire life. I've found if you stay away, and if they got their nose down chasing bait, either throw a cowtail in there or throw a topwater plug, something that just rattles a little bit. But don't get right up on the fish. Give them room and cast behind them. I can't stress that enough. Whenever you're sight casting, you have to figure out which way the fish is going. So if they're going to the left, you need to kind of cast maybe 10 feet to the left of them, but back, and then bring the bait to them. But if they're schooling busting bait, I just throw behind the bait pile and I just reel it in, and I just pop it along the bottom. And once I get in the middle of that bait, I just give it 3 jerks, and then half the time I just get slammed. But sight casting, be very quiet. Don't cast loud. Don't be beating on the water. Be quiet in the boat. Don't step on stuff. Try not to drop anything and make a lot of noise, because the fish can hear that and they'll feel the vibrations and you'll spook them. But another way I like to catch them is the good old-fashioned popping cork. This is a Cajun Thunder. I absolutely love catching redfish on a popping cork. It's great. These, I'm not a big fan of fishing jig heads on the bottom of them. I like to throw circle hooks because you get a better hookup ratio, and like the way you have it, because I tie these to 20-pound braid up at the top and then a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader at the bottom to a 2-aught to 3-aught circle hook. And I like to throw live shrimp, little greenies, little baby dollar pinfish, any kind of silver bait like that. But shrimp work really good, but I'm gonna do a video on how to hook shrimp. I'm gonna get some shrimp out and I'm gonna do it on the boat, how the different ways you can hook shrimp. Well, that's gonna be a different video I'm gonna talk to you guys about. But I like to throw shrimp on them. Typically, whenever, I'm not gonna throw a popping cork in really shallow water. Like if I'm in a foot of water, I'm not gonna throw, a popping cork. I'm gonna throw like a moving bait or a twitch bait. These I like to throw around like oyster bars, like off the oyster bar a little bit to catch them big red schooling around it, not the little rats just chilling up in there. I like to throw these any time of day. You can throw a popping cork at any time of the day and get bit on. But 2-aught circle hook to live shrimp, and normally anytime I'm fishing, I'm always gonna have a popping cork trailing behind the boat or behind the kayak with any kind of live bait out. That way, because you have the chance of catching a snook, a redfish, maybe a giant trout. You just never know. So it's always good to have a popping cork just ready on standby, drifting out the back with a live bait. Or what I like to do is, if I'm in a little bit of deeper water, I like to throw some gulp on there. I fish the circle hooks on the gulps every now and then, but if I'm gonna fish a gulp on a popping cork, I'll probably cut it off and put a jig head on. I don't really like fishing jig heads on popping corks, but it's just whatever. But for live bait, I'm always gonna put a circle hook on for a popping cork or any kind of live bait in general. But these also work good on trout, but I'm gonna talk to you guys about that in another video, probably later on in the week or next week. But sight casting, these work really good too. You can jig them, they stink. That's why I kept them in the package. I didn't take them out, but I found, because I use 4 inches for trout, the bigger trout like the 4-inch shrimp. I really haven't caught a whole lot of redfish on the 4-inch gulp compared to the 3-inch. The 3-inch just works better. It's a smaller presentation to me, and it's easier to handle, and it's not big and bulky, and they're not going to second guess it. They're just going to strike on it. But other than that, this pretty much concludes the first episode of Fish Talk. I hope you guys liked it. Today was redfish. I think I'm going to do trout, maybe snook. Yeah, I'm going to do snook next week. How I can do snook, catch them, everything. I'm going to go over daytime and nighttime fishing. So hopefully y'all can learn from that, and I hope y'all learn from this as well. And as always, like, subscribe, comment, give me a shout out to your friends. I'm doing this for you guys because I love to do it, and it's absolutely fun for me. I like to teach people. But keep fishing, guys. Peace out.